In a peaceful suburban neighborhood, there lived a woman named Karen. As a dedicated member of the Homeowners Association, HOA, she took her responsibilities seriously. Keeping the neighborhood clean and orderly was her passion, and she often reminded her neighbors of their duties. Karen believed that everyone should follow the rules to maintain the charm of their community. She would often walk her dog, Bella, proudly showcasing her commitment to cleanliness by always picking up after her pet. Karen had a strong opinion about dog owners who didn't follow the rules. She would frequently scold those who seemed lax in their responsibilities, believing that her role was to keep everyone in line. This made her a rather feared figure in the neighborhood, as many residents felt nervous about crossing her. However, Karen's strict adherence to the community rules was put to the test one sunny afternoon. While walking Bella down the block, she accidentally stepped in something unpleasant. As she looked down in horror, she noticed it was dog poop. Anger bubbled inside her like a boiling pot. She focused on her neighbors' yards and immediately suspected foul play. Surely, someone was letting their dogs run wild. Little did she know that her own dog was the culprit. This misunderstanding would soon spiral into chaos, igniting a series of events that would leave the whole community buzzing with excitement and disbelief. As Karen continued her walk with Bella, the sunny day took a sudden turn for the worse. Her foot squished down into something warm and gooey. Confused for a moment, she quickly looked down to discover that she had just stepped in dog poop. A wave of embarrassment washed over her as she felt her cheeks flush. This wasn't just any ordinary accident, it was a humiliating moment that felt like a slap in the face for someone who prided herself on cleanliness. Fury bubbled up inside her like a pot ready to boil over. How could this happen to her? She glanced around the neighborhood, searching for the careless owner she believed was responsible for this mess. Her heart raced with indignation, and as she stood there fuming, thoughts raced through her mind about how to take action against whoever had let their dog run rampant. Determined to restore order, Karen decided that she would not let this incident slide. She quickly gathered her belongings and marched home, convinced that she needed to rally her fellow HOA members to address this serious issue. As she plotted her revenge against what she perceived as reckless neighbors, little did she know that the real culprit was right by her side, her beloved Bella, who innocently wagged her tail, blissfully unaware of the chaos about to unfold. Once back at her house, Karen felt her frustration mount. The embarrassment of stepping in dog poop was still fresh, and it stirred a fierce determination within her. She slammed the door behind her and grabbed her phone, ready to unleash her fury on the neighborhood. Karen believed it was time to take a stand against the so-called irresponsible dog owners who were ruining the community she cherished. Without giving it much thought, she fired off an email to the HOA board, demanding action. "This is unacceptable," she typed furiously. "We cannot allow these careless pet owners to tarnish our beautiful neighborhood. I propose that we conduct DNA testing on any poop found on the streets to identify the guilty parties." As she hit send, a sense of satisfaction washed over her. She envisioned herself leading the charge for cleanliness, and how her fellow HOA members would rally behind her. But instead of support, she was met with confusion from her neighbors. Many questioned the feasibility of her plan, while others expressed concern about her harsh accusations. Still blinded by anger, Karen dismissed their concerns. She continued to spread rumors about who might be responsible, pointing fingers at dogs she had seen roaming without leashes. Karen was convinced that by taking such strong measures, she would protect her community and restore order, completely unaware that soon, the truth would unravel in a way she never expected. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the neighborhood, Karen sat at her kitchen table, brainstorming ways to address what she viewed as a serious issue. Her mind raced with thoughts of how to tackle the problem of dog waste. Suddenly, an audacious idea struck her: DNA testing. "That's it," she exclaimed to herself, feeling a surge of confidence. With renewed vigor, she decided to elaborate on her email to the HOA. "We must implement a system for DNA testing on dog feces found in our community," she typed passionately. "This will identify irresponsible owners who let their pets defecate without cleaning up. We cannot tolerate this behavior any longer. In her mind, this proposal was a surefire way to prove her neighbors negligent and demonstrate her commitment to keeping the neighborhood pristine. She imagined herself at the next HOA meeting, standing confidently before her peers as they applauded her for taking a bold stand. However, Karen's grand plan was met with mixed reactions. Some neighbors chuckled at the absurdity of her suggestion while others expressed concern about its practicality and cost. Yet Karen pushed on, convinced that anyone against her idea must be guilty themselves. Little did she know that this plan, fueled by anger and pride, would soon come back to haunt her in ways she could never have anticipated. The next day, Karen gathered with her neighbors for a scheduled HOA meeting, eager to present her DNA testing proposal. She strode into the room, ready to defend her idea with passion. However, as she began outlining her plan, she was met with a wave of disbelief and annoyance from those in attendance. "Are you serious?" one neighbor, Tom, interrupted with a raised eyebrow. "You really think we should spend money on DNA testing for dog poop? It sounds ridiculous." Others nodded in agreement, expressing their confusion over how such a system could even work. Karen felt her heart race and her face flush as she tried to maintain her composure. "This is a serious issue. We can't let irresponsible owners ruin our community," she insisted, but the laughter and eye rolls continued around the room. Some neighbors questioned the practicality of her proposal, pointing out the expense and logistical challenges of implementing DNA testing. "What's next, Karen? A poop patrol?" another neighbor joked, causing chuckles to ripple through the group. Frustrated by their lack of support, Karen pushed back harder. "If you're not willing to take action against these careless pet owners, then you must be part of the problem," she exclaimed defensively. As voices rose in disagreement, it became clear that instead of rallying support for her cause, Karen was only further alienating herself from her community. The skepticism in the room was palpable, foreshadowing the backlash she would soon face for her accusations. After the chaotic meeting, the atmosphere in the neighborhood grew tense. Many residents were frustrated with Karen's insistence on pursuing the DNA testing proposal, and whispers of discontent circulated among them. Some neighbors felt that her accusations had crossed a line and sowed mistrust among dog owners. Reluctantly, the HOA board decided to investigate the situation further, knowing that not addressing the issue could lead to more conflict. They called for a special meeting to gather opinions and discuss potential solutions, hoping to quell the rising tensions. Karen felt vindicated by their decision but remained oblivious to the growing animosity towards her actions. During this time, residents began speaking out against Karen's approach. "Why should we waste money on something so ridiculous?" one neighbor remarked during a discussion at a local coffee shop. Others agreed, fearing that if they didn't stand up against Karen's proposal, their own pets would become targets of unjust accusations. As rumors continued to spread, it became clear that many saw her as overly aggressive and controlling. The idea of a community united by a common goal had fractured into factions, those who supported Karen's quest for discipline and those who wanted to defend their rights as responsible pet owners. The neighborhood, once known for its harmony and friendliness, now brimmed with frustration and distrust as residents prepared for the upcoming meeting, where Karen would undoubtedly stand firm in her demands. As the mood in the neighborhood grew increasingly tense, the day finally arrived for the HOA to discuss the dog waste issue further. Residents gathered, anticipating a heated debate over Karen's DNA testing proposal. Just as the meeting was about to commence, a neighbor named Jim entered the room, looking flustered but determined. He held a small flash drive in his hand and made his way to the front. "I think I have something that might change everything," Jim announced, catching everyone's attention. The room fell silent as he plugged the drive into a laptop connected to a projector. With a few clicks, the screen lit up with footage from his security camera. The video showed an unsuspecting Karen walking Bella along the street. The footage zoomed in just as Bella squatted and left her droppings right where Karen had stepped days before. Gasps erupted throughout the room as faces turned towards Karen in disbelief. "This was recorded just last week," Jim stated, pointing at the screen. "It seems your own dog is responsible for the mess you were so upset about." Karen's heart raced as she watched her own dog commit the act she had condemned. The realization hit her hard. All her accusations had been directed at innocent neighbors while her beloved Bella was the true culprit. The room buzzed with murmurs of disbelief and laughter, leaving Karen speechless and exposed as the truth unraveled before her eyes. As the footage played on the big screen, Karen's mind raced in disbelief. She couldn't process what she was seeing. It felt like a bad dream from which she couldn't wake up. The undeniable evidence was right there before her eyes: Bella, her own dog, having leisurely left a pile of mess just moments after Karen had walked past. No. This can't be real. Karen blurted out, shaking her head furiously as her face flushed with embarrassment. She glanced around the room, searching for sympathy or support, but all she found were wide eyes and whispers of disbelief among her neighbors. Maybe that's an old clip, she suggested weakly, trying to grasp at straws. But Jim countered calmly, this was recorded last week, Karen. You were right there. With each passing second, the reality of her situation sank deeper within her. Turning back towards the screen did little to ease her growing shame. She had become the very thing she despised, someone who falsely accused innocent neighbors while ignoring her own dog's behavior. Her heart raced as laughter erupted around her, not meant to be cruel but fueled by the ridiculousness of the situation. The murmurs and chuckles only deepened her humiliation as admiration for Karen's earlier strictness faded into ridicule. In that tense moment, all hope of destroying what she thought to be irresponsible dog ownership vanished as she stood exposed and defeated before her community. In the days following the shocking revelation, the atmosphere in the neighborhood shifted dramatically. The HOA board convened once again, this time to address Karen's false accusations and the chaos she had stirred. Residents spoke up about how her relentless pursuit of accountability had not only wasted their time but also created unnecessary tension among neighbors. Finally, the board decided that action needed to be taken. They delivered a formal letter to Karen, outlining a fine for her inappropriate behavior and for spreading misinformation within the community. The letter stated, "Due to your unfounded allegations and the subsequent disturbance caused, you will be fined for your actions." When Karen received the notice, she felt a mix of anger and disbelief. She couldn't comprehend why she should be penalized after believing she was acting in the neighborhood's best interest. "This isn't fair," she protested to anyone who would listen, but her protests fell on deaf ears. As whispers of her fine circulated, many neighbors expressed satisfaction that accountability was being enforced. The community began to heal from the rift Karen had created, and they rallied together to support one another, reinforcing their bonds as responsible pet owners. For Karen, however, this experience became a painful lesson in humility and responsibility. Feeling isolated and shamed, she realized that her quest for order had led her down a path of personal downfall, transforming her from an admired member of the HOA into a figure of ridicule. Feeling the weight of her humiliation and the backlash from her neighbors, Karen decided it was time to address the situation publicly. She recorded a heartfelt video apology and posted it on social media, hoping to regain some semblance of respect within the community. With tears streaming down her face, she expressed remorse for her actions and acknowledged that she had let her emotions cloud her judgment. "I'm truly sorry for any hurt I caused," she choked through sobs. "I never meant to accuse anyone unfairly. I thought I was protecting our neighborhood." However, despite her emotional delivery, hints of denial crept into her words as she insisted that the situation had spiraled out of control due to misunderstandings. "I was just trying to do what was right," she added defensively. As the video circulated online, reactions from the community were mixed. Some felt genuine sympathy for Karen, believing that everyone makes mistakes and that her apology showed vulnerability. Others were less forgiving, pointing out that her denial of full responsibility undermined the sincerity of her message. Comments flooded in, ranging from supportive to critical, with many residents recalling how Karen's earlier accusations had affected their relationships. The more people discussed the video, the more it became apparent that while Karen wanted to mend fences, she still struggled to fully accept accountability for her actions. The divide in the community remained as sharp as ever, leaving Karen feeling both exposed and still somewhat misunderstood. Once Karen's apology video hit social media, it quickly went viral. The floodgates opened as viewers shared their opinions, and along with sympathy surfaced a torrent of harsh criticism. Many people found her teary confession more entertaining than sincere, interpreting her tears as an attempt to manipulate public perception rather than genuine remorse. Online commentators wasted no time in voicing their disdain. "How can she say she's sorry when she clearly still doesn't get it?" one user wrote. Others called out her defensiveness, stating that her insistence on being misunderstood showed a lack of true accountability. Memes were created, and the hashtags #KarenApologyFail and #BellaDidIt took off, fueling the mockery surrounding her situation. Even residents from her own neighborhood weighed in on social media. Some expressed disbelief that a woman who once scolded them was now crying for forgiveness. "She brought this on herself," commented one neighbor, summing up the sentiments of many who felt her earlier behavior left a lasting stain on their community. As public opinion further spiraled against her, Karen felt increasingly isolated. While some friends tried to defend her online, the wave of negativity proved overwhelming. Her longing to be accepted back into the community was met with skepticism, leading to Karen realizing that her journey toward redemption would be far more challenging than anticipated. The internet had spoken, and it seemed unforgiving. As the dust settled on the chaos Karen had caused, a sense of reflection began to permeate the community. What started as an embarrassing incident for one person had transformed into a powerful lesson for all. Neighbors who once felt isolated from one another found common ground in their shared frustration over Karen's accusations. The events had unwittingly united them against a common issue, revealing the strength of their community bonds. Karen's insistence on blaming others had exposed a vulnerability within the neighborhood, an awareness that accountability was essential for maintaining trust and harmony. Residents began to discuss openly the importance of being responsible pet owners and supporting one another in upholding community standards. They recognized that while rules and regulations are important, they should be approached with understanding and compassion rather than hostility. Through her downfall, Karen inadvertently highlighted the significance of accountability, not just for herself but for everyone. Many neighbors took this opportunity to reflect on their own actions and interactions, vowing to foster a more supportive environment. As the community came together to heal, they agreed to implement a plan that encouraged responsible pet ownership without resorting to harsh accusations. They formed a neighborhood committee focused on educating pet owners and creating a culture of accountability that was rooted in cooperation rather than division. In this way, Karen's missteps led to positive change, reminding everyone of the power of unity in overcoming adversity. In the end, Karen's ordeal served as a cautionary tale about the dangers of making assumptions without fully understanding the situation. Her initial outrage and the subsequent fallout highlighted how easily misunderstandings can escalate into public disputes, especially in a close-knit community. The incident not only affected her standing among neighbors but also demonstrated how social media can amplify personal reputations, often in ways that are unforgiving. The backlash Karen faced online underscored the importance of accountability. Her journey from a strict enforcer of neighborhood rules to a figure of ridicule revealed how quickly one's actions can be scrutinized in the digital age. The responses to her apology video reflected a society that values honesty and transparency, reminding everyone that sincere remorse comes with an acceptance of fault. As the community moved forward, they learned to approach each other with more empathy and understanding. They recognized that everyone makes mistakes, but those mistakes should lead to growth rather than conflict. By fostering an environment that encourages open communication and accountability, they became stronger as a community. Ultimately, Karen's experience taught her, and her neighbors, the vital lesson that assumptions can lead to hasty judgments, and social media can serve as both a platform for redemption and a catalyst for humiliation. In navigating these challenges, the community emerged closer and more resilient, ready to support each other in maintaining harmony and trust.